Pastor,
Yes.
is this, I mean, I'm getting that there's no beef between Kenny and Scott and you. You guys have decided this together. Why have you gone about it this way, that in a way that you could get in trouble with the hierarchs in the church?
I think just to show the ridiculousness of how the trials that are being, are now taking place for ministers that are violating the covenant. You're violating the covenant in other ways by not being inclusive, by not following through on what we said that we would do to be in ministry with all people. So it's to make that point very clearly. And I have to say that this was all cooked up by Scott. It's his fault.
Is this something that would cause Green Street Church to leave the, I don't know the exact term, but the Methodist higher-ups, kind of split off of the church?
I don't think so. We'll see. We are committed to being in the Methodist Church and to being a witness and a presence to the Methodist Church. We have become more deeply Methodist as we became a reconciling congregation. We wanted to be a witness to it, so I don't think so. I don't know. You'll have to ask the leadership council chair.
My last question for you: what's your message to other Methodists and other church-going people in the general community on this issue?
I guess getting back to your first question, which kind of addressed, what's our goal in this whole process. Change seldom happens unless an agitation occurs first. And if we just toe the party line and don't challenge this message that the United Methodist Church denomination sends us, then nothing will ever change. So the underlying message here from us is that it's our goal to agitate this process and to provoke conversations around this issue, because if we don't, change won't occur. So my message to other congregations is, let's have these conversations with our bishops. Let's start this process and have conversations that will lead to a change in our book of discipline. We are, on the one hand, not performing same-sex ceremonies and weddings. On the other hand, we're practicing discrimination, and those two messages are in conflict with one another. So we have to decide which message we're going to uphold and which message we're going to ignore, because both of those rules are colliding.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Hey, Patrick, can you give a brief overview of what happens logistically now and through the process now that the complaint?
No. In the FAQ, you'll see I've written some things here, and I'll just read it to you because I'm not super clear about the process. Complaints against clergy are first lodged with the bishop in the conference in which the person serves. The bishop is charged to follow the process that is outlined in the Book of Discipline, and it encourages finding a resolution which satisfies all parties. I have a feeling that Kenny and Scott...
Looking for, you guys can have to infine the complaint.
As Scott said previously, we're hoping for conversations to begin. That's the biggest thing. Open conversations, literal conversations about the issues that's going on in the United Methodist Church. We just have to wait and see, because we don't know exactly how they're going to handle it. So, but the goal is to make change and to see where it's going to lead. We don't know where it's going to lead right now, but we're hoping it's going to lead to something positive. I hope I gave you a good answer on that.
If I could follow up with this, in my reading around on this issue, it seems that the General Conference every 4 years is pretty decisively turned down these kinds of things. And also because the church is growing so fast in Africa and other parts of the world that are much more conservative on this issue. People in the Methodist world tell me that the votes are even going to get more lopsided in the future. Do you see a split in the church, or do you have any comment on, obviously, if the Book of Discipline doesn't change, are you going to defy it at some point, as some pastors have done?
Probably not until we get indication that there is some laxity with those kind of rules. I probably would not, mostly because of the setting where we are as a church. You'll find other places in the United Methodist Church where, marriage ceremonies that are being done by clergy are not very challenged, and it's a different culture in different parts of the country. As far as the split in the Methodist Church, I would agree with our own bishop, Bishop Goodpasture, who said, I am totally uninterested in that, and I am as well. I do think that the United Methodist Church has an amazing witness globally, and we can do so much more together than we can apart. I think we're stronger with our diversity, even theologically, but that does not mean that we permit people to hold on to their biases and the discrimination in the face of people's rights being taken away from them. That has to really be struggled against within the church. So we're not all going to agree, obviously. It is completely possible that when 2016 comes in the General Conference, that the language may not change. That is a very good possibility. But it is a point that is boiling right now within the Methodist Church, and we want to be very clear about this issue of discrimination that is going on. Any others? Really? Y'all don't want to stay required practice.